out of the 480,000 in Mboya opens our live broadcast tonight with that report.
It has now emerged that only 178,734 teachers have received at least the first jab of the COVID-19 vaccine out of the 480,671 Teacher Service Commission registered teachers from both public and private institutions targeted for vaccination.
Sijui kwa nini mnakataa kudungwa. Mnakataa kwa nini? Mpaka nakuja Nakuru. Kuambia tafadhali mudungwe.
Only 110,342 others have received the second dose. Speaking when she inaugurated COVID-19 vaccination for teachers at the Nakuru Level 5 Teaching and Referral Hospital, Teacher Service Commission Chief Executive Officer Dr. Nancy Masharia noted that there were enough vaccines for 330,671 teachers from public schools and 157,000 others in private schools across the country, including the support staff.
I am making a rallying call to all teachers. Beat COVID-19 by getting a jab.
Masharia said it was necessary for teachers to take up the jab to curb the spread of infections in schools, noting that teachers could be used as goodwill ambassadors to encourage the population to embrace vaccination, dispelling fears over the safety of the vaccine.
Remember, you are role models. Students, parents, and the general public are all watching, taking care of those little ones and making sure that our future citizens are protected and are given high-quality teaching. As a commission, we shall continue supporting you, but we need you to be healthy.
In the meantime, Meru Health CEC appealed to the business community in the county to adhere to the Ministry of Health protocols to avert infections among themselves and their customers, noting that 10 people had succumbed to the virus in the last couple of days. He also urged residents to avail themselves for the COVID-19 jab being offered in public health centers.
Wakiandamana na polisi wameanza enforcement ya kuwashika wale ambao hawajavaa barakoa na wale ambao haweki maji katika maduka zao, na hii isisemekane kwamba ni harassment. Njia ya kupingana na huu ugonjwa ni tujikinge sisi wenyewe ndio tuweze kukinga watu wengine.
For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Let's now shift our focus to the COVID-19 update here in Kenya. And the country recorded 679 new COVID-19 cases from a sample size of 5,693 screened in the last 24 hours. According to the Minister of Health, the latest figures represent a positivity rate of 11.9% of the new cases. 649 are Kenyans, while 30 are foreigners. Total confirmed positive cases are now at 221,406, and cumulative tests so far conducted are 2,259,150. In the last 24 hours, one patient succumbed while 9 deaths were recorded as late reports from audits conducted in August. 1,550 patients have recovered from the disease, while another 1,981 are still admitted in hospital. Globally, over 200 million infections have been reported, with over 4 million deaths recorded. That's the latest on the COVID-19. Now let's shift our focus on matters politics. And One Kenya Alliance has moved to woo leaders from Central Kenya and the Coast region in the run-up to the 2022 general election, led by four principals: Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya, Musalia Mudavadi of Amani National Congress, and Gideon Moi of KANU. The alliance members meeting in Naivasha, Nakuru County will also review the report of a 12-member technical committee which will set in motion the coalition's election campaigns program.
The report by the One Kenya Alliance Technical Committee analyzes the coalition agreement on power sharing and mode of choosing the flag bearer ahead of the 2022 polls.
We are here to join them. Our parliamentary leaders are also here. So great bonding, yeah, easy time, and always guided by the great future we all wish for our country.
Vyama lazima vijipange pia, sio tu ati kwa sababu unajua ni competition. Kwa hivyo vyama pia lazima vijipange, kwa sababu utahitaji wajumbe, mtahitaji MCAs, magavana na kadhalika. Kwa hivyo hii ni holistic approach.
Also on the entry from members led for principles is review of a proposal by President Uhuru Kenyatta last week in Mombasa to unite the former allies.
Suitors who are waiting, so to speak, and we are engaging them at different levels, men and women of absolute substance in the politics of this country, who are coming to strengthen OCA even more.
The meeting in Naivasha comes as members of parliament affiliated to the alliance lashed out at their Orange Democratic Movement counterparts over their plans to impeach Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson Wafula Chebukati.
We are getting worried. Why at a time like this they want the removal of Chebukati? We are telling them, yes, bring it on. The law is very clear. You bring a petition in parliament, and we are going to defend Chebukati to the letter.
The people who are trying to attack the chair of IBC are playing cheeky games, are playing petty politics. For simple reason, as parliament, we are ready to make sure that we have a full commission to handle next year's election.
We must build our own institutions. It cannot be, and it must not be that every other time that we are going to an election, ODM must say that we must change election commissioners.
Suleiman Yeri, Prime Edition.
Now moving on, 8 members of the Bahati Sub-County Security Committee in Nakuru County have been interdicted following an incident in which 10 people died after consuming illicit brew at Hodi Hodi Village. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya said that those interdicted include chiefs, their assistants, Deputy County Commissioner and Sub-County Police Commander, who will all face disciplinary action over the incident. Let's get details of this disturbing report.
According to Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya, Nakuru North Senior Deputy County Commissioner Godfrey Mayama, Bahati Sub-County Police Commander Bernard Omugunda, Kiamaina Assistant County Commissioner Isaac Ooko, and Area Officer OCS Solomon Wamae are facing the stern disciplinary action over the death of 10 people, Hodi Hodi Village, Bahati Sub-County last week.
Ya kwamba kama kutakuwa na kifo chote kinafanyika in any place, kwa sababu maafisa wamezembea kazini, hatua kama hii itachukuliwa. Watu watakanyaga nyumbani.
He also said Bahati Sub-County Critical Infrastructure Protection Unit CIPU Robert Maina Area Chief John Thuo and his 2 assistants stand interdicted. Natembeya flagged 9 other counties in the Rift Valley region where brewing and consumption of illicit alcohol has been reported as prevalent and put on notice security officers.
Jambo ambalo nafuata ni kwamba county security committees zote 14 katika bonde la Ufa, they are on notice from today. Ma county commissioners and their teams lazima wa take charge of their areas.
He cautioned members of the public against consumption of the brews, saying culprits will be caught by the long arm of the law. 9 people who consumed the killer brew last week are still receiving treatment at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital.
To the corridors of justice, the Director of Public Prosecution has directed for the immediate arrest and transfer of 6 police officers allegedly involved in the killing of 2 Embu brothers to Nairobi. The DPP says the move will stop the police officers from either interfering with evidence or intimidating witnesses. The move comes as the Independent Policing Oversight Authority (IPOA) recommended immediate sacking of the 6 to face murder charges.
In a statement, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority said it has concluded investigations into the deaths of 2 brothers at Kianjoma in Embu County. Consequently, the authority has found 6 officers culpable of the offense of murder and recommended that the officers be relieved of their duties immediately. IPOA says that the 6 officers should surrender any government stores in their possession, including their firearms, within the shortest time possible. This comes barely hours after the 6 police officers attached to Manyata police stations in Embu were suspended. Isaiah Nokuru, the Eastern Regional Commissioner, said the details of 6 officers will be availed once they receive official communication from the Inspector General of Police and Office of Director of Public Prosecution. And in a statement, the Director of Public Prosecution has directed that the 6 be arrested and transferred to Nairobi for prosecution. The DPP has ordered that the 6 be arrested by close of business Monday and be moved to Nairobi to deter them from interfering and intimidating witnesses. The DPP further said all law enforcing officers have the cardinal duty of complying with all constitutional requirements of human rights while undertaking their mandate, even for a person in their custody. In Kajiado County, a section of leaders want the Ministry of Interior to transfer police officers based in Isinya sub-county following what they term a spate of rampant crime in the area. Led by Kajiado East Member of Parliament Peris Tobiko, the leaders accused security agencies based at Kitengela town of laxity.
The loss of lives and the loss of livestock must be treated separately and independently, so that hooliganism and or mob injustice is not camouflaged in the issue of livestock theft and banditry.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Now, a family in Syokimau in Machakos County is appealing to well-wishers to help them raise over 100,000 shillings to enable their twin daughters join secondary school. Mulwa Wayua and Magdalene Kavesu scored 330 and 256 marks respectively in the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, but they are yet to join Form 1.
Identical twin sisters Mulwa Wayua and Magdalene Kavesu have desperation written all over their faces. The girls had the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education but are yet to join Form 1.
Sikuwa nimetoka kwa kitanda au wanaweza kukuambia sikuwa natoka kwa kitanda ni hapa. Nikifikiria sasa kwa nyumba sina namna, hata ya kukula ni shida, hata kulipa nyumba ni shida. Wako hapo sasa na wao wakao washindi kwa nyumba wanaongopa, ndio sasa wanaambiwa sasa waanjaenda shule. Tulikuwa tunaona tu wamepita sana, waende shule sasa, na mama yetu tunawajua vizuri.
Wayua, who scored 330 marks, was admitted to Tala Girls High School, while Magdalene got 256 marks and is supposed to join Sunrise Girls High School. Both schools are in Machakos County.
Moja ameitwa Tala Girls, huyu pande hii. Huyo mwingine ameitwa huko tu. Wote kwa mtogora. Juu sina uwezo nitafanya nini? Ama waoleke wakiwa hivi waondoko hivyo.
Their parents, Agnes and Richard Mulwa, who work as casual laborers, say they have explored all options and resorted to pleading with well-wishers for help.
Tanga tu ya chakula. School fees kulipa mimi nimelemewa. Kabisa. Nimeona nifanye mpango nikuje mpaka huku nione kama ndapata usaidizi. Sina otherwise.
Mimi nilikuwa navua kabla kolona injakuja. Lakini vile kolona ilikuja watu walienda maisha yako, sina maana naweza kuvua. Hata usiku nilipika unga nusu. Lazima hawa kuna wengine wanimeacha kwa nyumba.
To help Wayua and Magdalene pay school fees, you can send your contribution via M-Pesa to 0757 099 940.
To the counties now. A grade 2 pupil in Akisi South Primary School died on the spot after he was knocked down by a hit-and-run vehicle. Emmanuel Barongo, aged 6, and a pupil at Nyamare Primary School was sent home to collect levies when he met his fate as he crossed the road following the learning institution. More of this in our county news roundup.
Emotions ran high when irate parents stormed the school accusing the head teacher of causing the death of the pupil for what they claimed as the habit of dispatching pupils over non-payment of the levies or lacking personal effect. The school head teacher had sent home the deceased for failure by his parents to pay 60 shillings levy. Police removed the body to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital mortuary.
Mwalimu headmaster kila wakati anatumanga watoto, iwe ni mahindi, iwe ni maharagwe, iwe ni shilingi 60, na hivyo ni vibaya sana. Inastahili mwalimu aite committee, wasasi wakuje, kwa sababu rami iko hapa, inastahili kuwekwa bams ili watoto wetu walindwe vizuri.
Tunaendelea kulalamika siku baada ya nyingine, sababu huyu mwalimu tangu aingia hapa hakuna chochote anafanya.
Elsewhere, transport from Kangundo to Nairobi was paralyzed for the better part of Monday after 2 SACCO Scam and Makata SACCOs protested the entrance of a new SACCO on the route.
Kuna SACCO ambayo imekuja hapa kwa petrol station ya nyingi, inaitwa Naekana SACCO. Naekana SACCO imekuja huku Tala kubeba huku. Sisi kama watu wa Kamsako na Makata hatupewi nafasi ya kubeba Nairobi.
Naekana SACCO also reduced its fare by almost 50%, a move that agitated the other 2 Matatu SACCOs. Police had to use tear gas to disperse the rioting operators who had blocked the Kangundo-Nairobi highway. A row is in the meanwhile simmering between smallholders farmers and pastoralists in Laikipia County over illegal grazing. This is after illegal herders fleeing security operations in ranches and conservancies started invading into small farms neighboring the ranches and conservancies.
Tunatabika hapa sana kwa ng'ombe. Ng'ombe inaigishwa kwa mashamba, inakula kila kitu na tunahangaika kabisa.
Na tutaenda wapi? Sasa chakula imekuliwa. Sasa tutasomesha na nini? Na tutafanya nini? Kutoka saa hii turudishe mahindi ingine, mwaka hiyo ingine, si mwaka hii, sasa hii imeisha.
Residents of the Eka 20 village in Narok East Sub-County are crying foul after Kenya Power and Lighting Company disconnected power for over 10 months ago. According to the locals, power blackouts has paralyzed essential services in the area.
Stima imepitia karibu na boma zetu, na kama hatujapata stima hiyo miaka yote, kwa hiyo miaka yote hatujawahi pata stima.
And Londiani Deputy County Commissioner Elmi Salmi has warned residents of Kedowa over destruction of environment. The administrator in particular took issue with the many stone quarries in the area, urging them to look for an alternative site.
Watu wa Kimasiani mubadilike. Ninawaambia kwamba kuna njia mingi ya kupata mapato, lakini mapato ya kwari kuharibu mashamba na mazingira is not the best thing. Afadhali mchange tactic, muone njia nyingine ya kupata mapato.
Further afield, Zambia's president-elect Hakainde Hichilema has extended an olive branch to his predecessor Edgar Lungu after a landslide victory in the recently held polls. Hichilema, who has long been in the opposition, has pledged to be president of all Zambians, whether they voted for him or not. Here is that report.
I declare Hichilema Hakainde S. to be president-elect of the Republic of Zambia.
Zambian opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema was declared the winner of last week's bitterly contested presidential election after defeating the incumbent president Edgar Lungu more than 1 million votes. It was Hichilema's 6th attempt at winning the presidency. Lungu has accepted defeat and congratulated Hichilema. In a speech broadcast on national television, Lungu said he was committed to a smooth transfer of power, even as he expressed reservations the elections were not free and fair. Elsewhere, several people have been reported killed at Kabul airport as Afghans flee following the Taliban's takeover of the country. The US says all its embassy staff have been evacuated to the airport. More than 60 countries have issued a joint statement calling on the Taliban to allow people to leave. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has fled the country, reportedly to Uzbekistan. On Monday, 5 people were killed after Taliban fighters seized the capital, prompting the US military to suspend evacuations to clear the airfield. Additionally, the Afghanistan Civil Aviation Authority said the Kabul airspace has been released to the military and that it advised transit aircraft to reroute. And the death toll from the deadly earthquake that struck Haiti on Saturday has risen to 1,297 as rescue workers frantically search for survivors. And a known number of people are still missing after the 7.2 magnitude quake. Tropical depression Grace is expected to pass over the worst affected area of Caribbean nation later on Monday. It is feared heavy rain brought by Grace could trigger landslides.
Peaceful election outcomes in Zambia. Well, it's time now to take our first commercial break.
Absolutely. And when we return, Cynthia Nyamai is coming up with the day's business news. Stay tuned.
Usikubali kwa watu kuchafua serikali, na usikubali kwa serikali aende kando. Ikiwa kama unaona sisi tuko na kasoro, sema wasi. Hapana kaa kimya. Utasema tu kwa sauti ya wale watu wenu ambao iko katika parliament. Kwa maana ikiwa kama wewe iko kwa kiwanjani ya mpira, kama wewe unacheza, unadhani wewe ndio unajua kushinda watu wote. Siko watu wengine huko nje ambao wanasema kwa nini hapa napiga kule? Kwa nini hapa napiga kule? Kwa hivyo ukitiwaambia ati jaribu kuangalia kule na kule na kule, tena ufanye umoja, hii ndio tutasaidia.
Ili kupata skiza tune ya Tabasamu ni bure. Bonyeza *811 *965#.
Maneno matamu humfanya mtu atabasamu ghafla, na pia mawazo mema huzifanya hali zitabasamu mbele yako ghafla. Hali ngumu zikawa nyepesi, hali tete zikatamanika. Ila unaponuna pia hali zinanuna. Hebu jifunze kutabasamu.
Kupata skiza tune ya Tabasamu ni bure. Bonyeza *811 *965#. *811 *965#.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the popos. Huh?
Drama.
He assaulted the queen in my house, in my presence!
News, sports and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
Africa 2020 Live is the musical highlight of the Africa 2020 season that is taking place in several French cities throughout the summer from June to September 2021 through a series of electro, rap, hip-hop and Afrobeat concerts.
Guess who's back on the trending list now? The one and the only Jimmy Gate has been trending #1. And in case you didn't know, he now has an agency where he takes people abroad for work. He has a job placement and agency. The 21-year-old was jobless in 2020, but guess what? He is now worth a whopping $2 million thanks to TikTok.
With the ongoing pandemic, it is good to see musicians and event organizers adopting the new normal of taking their events online to keep the music playing.
Ahero sana pilirundo gawia nyatijo moka diri laloga pacha jodonga dengo tika yudo konyruok na.
Good evening. Welcome to Business. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, hoteliers operating in the Mara are proposing that the government include site visits to the country's national park in the school curriculum to boost domestic tourism and help enlighten Kenyans about their country at an early age. They argue that despite the niche sector having the potential to leapfrog the industry, domestic travel is still alien to a majority of Kenyans.
The Mara Plains remain unusually quiet, devoid of tourists, despite the advent of the high season.
The numbers are very low. Although normally we have good numbers because the client we used to have their British, American, Chinese, they used to come and subsidize us here, but now the numbers are very low. So I don't know what we can say because actually now almost many camps are empty.
For Stephen Koriata, a hotelier operating in the heart of the Mara, this is a disaster in waiting.
You know, you interact with foreigners. You don't know whether they have been vaccinated in their country. And you see this vaccine, they say it's not a cure. It's just, you know, it prevents only. So you don't know whether the guest has it when he came to the country, you know, and the moment you get in contact with them, then you're done.
Delta variant is more dangerous. So we will need you to have the PCR certificate to show it is negative for you to come into the country, so that we are sure that you are not coming with a virus. And when you depart the country, you also take a PCR certificate check so that you don't go with the virus outside the country at the same time.
Governments across Europe have enforced strict travel restrictions to East Africa, where the entire region features on the UK's red list, meaning that tourists returning from East Africa must undertake a mandatory hotel quarantine for 10 days. As uncertainty reigns on the COVID-19 situation, hospitality industry players are turning to the domestic front.
The government can roll some, you know, programs. Because Kukuja Mara is also an education tour. A young child ametoka, for example, Eldoret, Mombasa, labda hajawahi kuona a buffalo, hajawahi kuona an elephant. Then from that point of view, akikuja anaona na anapata that mind, anapata reality. Transform from the book mpaka kwa a reality life. So if the government and, you know, can roll those programs, definitely domestic tourism in this country can be very good.
They are calling on the government to institute programs targeting school-going children to enculturate domestic travel.
Watoto ama even the common mwananchi, for the experience that I have whenever they come to Mara, they'll always love to come back. Unaona wanasema sijai kuona hii, sijai kuona hii, sijai kuona hii, and then you see there is a lot of urge actually wakuja warudie, lakini kila siku wanaona wanasema the place is very expensive.
Now, although Kenya's sports prowess is known across the world, sportsmen and women in the country have over the years sourced for sports gear from international brands, but not anymore. A Kenyan company has since 2016 been designing and manufacturing sports shoes and selling the same locally and abroad. Betty Kiptum with that story.
Kenyan sportsmen and women have dominated both the track and field events for decades. A Kenyan brand is now seeking to ensure they are wearing Kenyan-made sports shoes. The kit always bears the Kenyan colors. The locally owned company, Enda Sportswear, is seeking to offer a Kenyan-made sports shoe to the local and international market. Making inroads in the competitive sportswear industry, dominated by large brands, requires cutting-edge designs as well as an understanding of the athlete's needs.
Our shoes are sold mostly online, and so it's easier for anyone in any part of the world to be able to, be in our shoes and enjoy running the Kenyan running way.
The company procures locally sourced material, aiming to establish itself as a proudly and loudly Kenyan brand. The company's lead designer, Cyprian Kiswili, however, says this has not been easy.
Some of these raw materials, we are not able to find them, locally. And in order to compete in the global stage, we have to go for the right and the best materials available in the world. And so, of course, as much as possible, we also try and see how we can incorporate local materials.
Enda Sportswear currently hires over 100 employees in its production line. Its biggest market is in the United States, but there have been concerted efforts through the Tusker Mwanzo shoe production to target the Kenyan market, where there is growing demand for quality locally manufactured products as part of the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative.
So we call it the Mwanzo because it's the first of its nature here. And so we've basically sourced most of its materials, that is the leather from Kenya, the canvas is purely Kenyan. And so it's a product that we are very proud of.
Through contract manufacturing, the company makes 150 to 300 pairs of shoes per day. About 80% of Enda's client base comes from the United States, 8% from Europe, and 12% from Kenya. Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
The Two Africa Consortium has announced today the addition of 4 new branches to the Two Africa cable. The branches will extend Two Africa's connectivity to the Seychelles, the Comoros Islands, and Angola, and southeast Nigeria. Details of this and other stories from the corporate scene.
The branches will extend Two Africa's connectivity to Seychelles, the Comoros Islands, Angola, and southeast Nigeria, making it the largest subsea cable project in the world. Communities that rely on the internet for services will experience faster and more reliable internet service. As with other Two Africa cable landings, capacity will be available to service providers at carrier-neutral data centers or open access cable landing stations on a fair and equitable basis. Alcatel Submarine Networks has been selected to deploy the new branches, which will increase the number of Two Africa landings to 35 in 26 countries. Elsewhere, War Beverages Limited staff are protesting against a decision by security officers to bar them from accessing their offices. The management and employees were set to receive handover of the company's premises on Sunday. This follows a notification from their lawyer to KRA, DCI and DPP setting a date for the handover. However, they were turned away by GSU officers manning the facility in Thika. According to the lawyers, Thika has seen a loss of over 800 million shillings in monthly taxes to KRA compared to when the companies were operational. For Prime Edition, I'm Brian Munyuoki.
Thank you, Brian, for that report. Now, authorities in Zanzibar have expressed optimism over tourism recovery. The country welcomed an overwhelming number of international tourists in the first half of 2021, with most of the arrivals coming from the traditional European market. Details of this and other stories from across the globe.
According to the country's official data, Zanzibar recorded 20,416 tourist arrivals in the last month of 2021, compared with 353 arrivals during the same time last year. With vaccinations underway both on the Isles and Tanzania's mainland, the number of international tourists is expected to rise, leading to an increase in economic activity and growth prospects for the Meanwhile, customers who have been to or connected through Nigeria in the last 14 days will not be permitted on any Emirates flights bound for Dubai until August 20th, according to Emirates on its website. The airline says its contact centers were experiencing a greater volume of calls than anticipated. However, Dubai's flagship carrier is ramping up flights to other destinations in Africa, with increased flights to Johannesburg. Finally, mergers and acquisition activities in Africa soared in 2021 as total deal value hits $57.7 billion. According to Baker McKenzie's analysis of Refinitiv data, Africa's mergers and acquisitions activity soared in the first 6 months of 2021, with deals recorded worth more than $57.7 billion, up from $8.5 billion year on year. This amounted to a 14% increase in deal volume and an outstanding 576% increase in deal value compared to the same period last year, when 293 M&A deals with a deal value of 8.5 billion was recorded.
That's it from the business desk. Up next, sports with Karen.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the Popos. Huh?
Drama.
Will you assault the Queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
Na usisahau yale yake ni mwiba kujidunga.
Kid, you are not serious. Hata mimi sijafikiria wewe utazungumza maneno kama hayo.
Wamaanisha Zari amefanyiziwa. Sasa wewe yule alivyo na mdomo kama kunguru, wafikiri atakajinyamaza hivi vibure bila sababu?
Anything you want to tell me? Please, just put it down here. Sasa. Okay, here you go.
Wewe ukiacha kuona wewe labda utapumzika. Maana ilipo ninalokutafuna.
Bibi, mamangu ananivuka mpaka.
Mamako anajisahau.
Welcome back. I do hope your evening is treating you well. It's now time for us to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta says the government will work to ensure Kenya's sporting talent is nurtured and retained by creating a conducive environment and providing incentives for great performances. The head of state, who hosted representatives of the triumphant Kenyan contingent to the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games at State House Mombasa, called on the Ministry of Sports and stakeholders to establish a system of identifying and developing talent to expand the country's pool of athletes.
Congratulations. Well done. President Uhuru Kenyatta spent Monday afternoon with representatives of Kenya's contingent to the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games held in Japan. Team Kenya bagged 10 medals from the sporting extravaganza, an inspiring performance that saw the head of state fed medalists with cash awards. Each of the 4 gold medalists, Eliud Kipchoge, Emmanuel Korir, Faith Kipyegon and Peres Jepchirchir, got 1 million shillings. The 4 silver medalists, Helen Obiri, Ferguson Rotich, Bridget Kosgei and Timothy Cheruiyot, were awarded with 750,000 shillings each, while bronze medalists Benjamin Keegan and Hyvin Kiyeng each got 500,000 shillings. We are here to celebrate your victory, which is Kenya's victory. And we're here to congratulate you, to say how proud we are of how you performed individually, but also how you performed as a team. The president thanked the Olympians for their outstanding performance that saw Kenya top the African medal chart and challenged the sporting fraternity to ensure the country continues to excel on the global stage. We want to continue to ensure that not only do we give our best to ensure we retain our athletes, and to ask ourselves why we are losing some of our good people outside. These are questions I think
Jemedari, we must begin to resolve.
The head of state also announced a uniform token of 200,000 shillings for all athletes and officials, including the Paralympics team, which will compete in their games from the 24th of this month in Tokyo. President Kenyatta also urged the athletes to always adhere to set
Beautiful. Moving on, still in athletics, Olympics 1500 meters silver medalist Timothy Cheruiyot was on Monday promoted from the rank of Chief Inspector to Senior Superintendent of Prisons by the Commissioner General of Prison on the order of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Cheruiyot clocked 3 minutes 29.01 seconds to finish second in the final behind Jacob Ingebrigtsen of Norway. Cheruiyot was among 4 silver medalists at the Games, which ended on the 8th of August with others, namely Helen Obiri, Ferguson Rotich and Bridget Kosgei.
To your very sterling performance, they just concluded Tokyo Olympic Games, which you won a silver medal. In 1,100 meters race. That in a position of the same. That give honor and glory to our nation, Kenya. You'll be instantly promoted the rank of Senior Superintendent of Prisons.
Congratulations, Timothy Cheruiyot. Strict COVID-19 protocols will be adhered to during the World Athletics Under-20 Championship that will start this Wednesday at the Kasarani Stadium. Journalists, technical and support staff on Monday were tested for COVID-19 and will be subjected to daily tests till 22nd of this month when the games officially commence.
It is barely a day now left before Kenya hosts the World Under-20 Championship at Kasarani Stadium. It is a championship that will be held behind closed doors due to fears of the spread of COVID-19. Journalists covering this year's edition today were tested for COVID alongside technical and support staff. All persons will be attending the championship will be subjected to daily tests until 22nd of this month when the championship culminates. Kenya will be represented by 44 athletes in this year's edition that has attracted close to 119 nations. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
And finally, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has challenged the club's critics to come up with the evidence if they believe the Blues are breaking the financial fair play rules. 13 months after the Court of Arbitration for Sports overturned City's 2-year ban from European competition for breaching UEFA's rules, questions about the club's spending are again being raised. Guardiola defended City's British record £100 million signing of England midfielder Jack Grealish immediately after their loss to Tottenham Hotspurs.
To the win over champions Manchester City, Kane, heavily linked with the move to Manchester City, sat out. Meanwhile, West Ham United twice came from behind to get their Premier League campaign off to the ideal start by beating Newcastle United in a hugely entertaining match at St James's Park.
Freddie Woodman on his line, Antonio, is the save, and it comes down to Souček, and he puts...
Thierry Neuville clinched his first victory of the FIA World Rally Championship season on home roads at Rally Belgium. Irish Breen secured back-to-back runner-up finishes after a similar result in Estonia last month, while Kael Rovanperä finished third in a Toyota Yaris. And that's all we had for you right here at the KBC Primetime Sports News. My name is Karen Kibet. Do have yourself a lovely night. But the broadcast is not yet over, as I do hand you back to Tom and Purity.
That's right. Thanks very much indeed for that. We call her
Marakwet. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you very much, Karen. That was a sporty update. We have to go. You want to read some feedback, or we just wrap it up?
Absolutely. We had a few people who were watching.
Okay.
And of course, someone saying, welcome to Karen.
Yeah.
At Kim Otieno, welcome to Karen home. And then we also have Anne Otieno, who is tuned in from Kawangware.
From Kawangware.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Very well. When you know it's Tuesday, you know Purity will be on air.
Absolutely. And Tom will be here with me as well.
And tomorrow we will be hosting live in studio the Registrar of Political Parties, Anne Deritu. Our topic of discussion tomorrow will be the place of political parties in the democratic space, and you don't want to miss that.
Absolutely. You can keep the conversation going. We are live, of course, on all our social media platforms, and you can interact with us at KBC Channel 1. Use the hashtag. You can continue using Prime Edition. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Purity Museo. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. God bless.
And my name is Mboya. Have a pleasant evening. Good night, and God bless.
Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior